What's up, everybody? It's your girl Cha Cha, and I'm back from another episode of Off the Charts. This is a series where we work to dispel common misconceptions about wealth and to help you work on your relationship with money. So, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is season 4 of this amazing series, and if you are a returning listener, welcome, welcome, welcome. I do just want to let you guys know that Off the Charts has officially been launched on as a podcast, right? Wherever podcast or stream. So you can find it on Apple Podcasts, you can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all of those amazing things. Now, if you want to check out the first 3 seasons of Off the Charts, you can find those playlists on my channel. So make sure you give it a listen and let me know what you think about that. So this is one of 2 series that I do on this channel. The other series is called The Money Mantra, where I teach people how to understand the foreign exchange market so that they can become independent and profitable traders. So my channel is all about mindset and money, and I'm just really here to help you figure out your relationship with money and how to make it better. So, Off the Charts has been something that I've been doing for a little over a year now, and the seasons go back and forth between thought-provoking questions to really get you to question yourself and figure out where you stand on your journey to wealth and where you want to go. And then the other half of Off the Charts has been book reviews. So the first book I reviewed was called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and it was a really good book, right? Because there is a practical science that you can use to attract wealth into your life by understanding that thoughts do become things. So I'm so excited to be starting season 4 of Off the Charts. And we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite books of all time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of entrepreneurs have mentioned this book or you've heard about it before. And it's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That, when you just hear the title, Think and Grow Rich, now, the average person would just dismiss that and say, that's a bunch of hoopla. You can't think and grow rich. It doesn't make sense. You have to work hard. But that's exactly why they won't be able to use the 13 principles that are in the book to help them get to where they want to be in a mental state and financially and to attract those riches that they really desire, right? You have to first believe something's going to happen before you actually put in the work to get it done. So if you're here and you're listening to this, it's because you want to attract wealth, you want to change your life, you want to take your life to a different place. And one thing I like about Think and Grow Rich and what Napoleon Hill says is that riches don't have to be dumbed down to money and material things. You can have richness of the spirit, you can have richness in your relationship, but whatever goal you're trying to attract, you have to first believe and accept that it is not impossible to do so. So in this season, right, we're going to be working through this book chapter by chapter and really getting into the meat and potatoes of what is Napoleon Hill trying to say with these 13 principles. It's not like it's magic, right? It's really not magic, but knowledge is power, applied knowledge is powerful. If you do the things that he's suggesting in this book, you'll never know that they'll work unless you try, right? So I do have another episode of season 3 called How Do You Know, right? Until you try. So I highly recommend that if you're having some struggles with belief or believing that something like this is possible, then that's definitely an episode that you should check out. So one of the first things that Napoleon Hill talks about in this book on the road to riches and to align yourself with that is the topic of desire, right? You have to actually know exactly what it is that you want before you can go after it and go get it. So there's 3 things that you need in order to be able to put yourself on a path to wealth. And the first thing is you need to have a definiteness of purpose, right? What is it that you actually want? What is it that you actually want? Right? Now, I know some people may be taken aback because that's something that you don't really get asked a lot. What is it that you want? Aside when you go to order food or you're asking for a specific service in the physical world, do people really know what you want or what you desire out of life? Do you even know what you want and what you desire out of life? And before you figure out what it is that you definitely want to obtain, it's going to be hard to get there, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I really want to be on a beach. I really want to be on vacation right now, right? That's so general. It's we get the idea, but it's so general. It's another thing to say, I wish I was on the beach in Maldives, right? I wish I was on the beach in Dubai, right? I wish I was on the beach in Jamaica. You see how once you add a little bit more specifications, it kind of frames what you're trying to attain a little bit more achievable. Because just saying that you want to be on the beach isn't going to help you plan that trip and get there. You have to get more specific and more definite about what it is that you want, right? So that's one of the first pieces of the chapter of desire that he mentions what is it that you want, right? And I've been in this position before, and I know you may have been in this position before, where it's like I was indecisive, right? And indecision is just something that will never get you where you want to be, right? You have to know what it is that you want. And most of us spend more time thinking about what we don't want, right, than what we do want, right? We like, oh, I don't want to have this kind of job. I don't want to make this money. I don't want to work here. I don't want to have this type of relationship. Well, something you need to understand is that your dominating results, I mean, your dominating thoughts are going to dictate the results that you have in your life. So if you're consistently focusing on things that you don't want, you may think that it's repelling them, but in reality, it's actually attracting those things right back to you. And it's crazy. So once you really understand how the mind works and you are completely in control of your life, you'll continue to make the same mistakes. Now, one thing that separates us from animals, right, is the fact that we have the ability to think, we have the ability to rationalize, we have the ability to decide, right? We're operating off of higher faculties. We're not just moving off of instinct. So you really need to have a definiteness of purpose if you want to be successful. Now, when it comes to attracting riches in a monetary sense, you need to know exactly how much money you want to make, right? You can say, I want to make a lot of money, right? What is a lot of money? For someone who has zero income, $100 could be a lot of money. And if that's all you're trying to make because that's the standard that you set for yourself, then that's all that you're going to attract. Now, it's different when you have a definiteness of purpose and you say, I want to make $100 million, right? That puts a little bit more of a stamp on it. Like imagine going to your bank and trying to take out some money, or going to the ATM and they say, how much money do you want to take out? And you say, I want to take out a lot. They're not going to be able to help you because what is a lot of money? But if you go into the bank or you go to the ATM and you say, I want to take out $200, that is a more definiteness of purpose, right? So I hope you guys get where I'm going with this. You have to be a little bit more specific when it comes to defining your goals and the riches that you want to attract. You have to know by the end of this year, I want to make $50,000, right? So the next thing that he says in this first chapter on desire is that you have to have a desire, right? And your desire has to be so strong that it becomes an obsession, right? You have to be so obsessed with getting the thing that you want that nothing else matters. And the reason why you want to do this is because you want those dominating thoughts to be the thoughts that actually manifest in your life. And you want your dominating thoughts to be more positive, and you want them to be more specific, right? Because if you're not passionate about something, or if you don't want something enough, you're simply not going to go after that thing, right? If you don't want it bad enough, you're not going to go after that thing. Fitness is one of my favorite examples to use because we can see it's a physical thing. And a lot of people are still really focused and living in the 3D world and what they can see. So if somebody wants to lose 10 pounds, right, in 2 months, they have a definiteness of purpose and they have a desire and they have a timeline. So they're getting very specific about what it is that they're trying to achieve, right? And then they have to have the third piece of the puzzle, which is persistence, right? They have to persistently show up to the gym, whether they are getting results day one or not, right? Whether they see results week one or not, they know that they set a specific goal to lose a specific amount of weight in a specific time. So why would they stop before they reach that goal, right? It doesn't make sense. Like, and like I said, if once you become more specific with what it is that you're trying to attract and how long you want to attract this thing and the means that you're going to go to attract this thing, you'll find that life will be completely different and it'll be completely better because you'll stop quitting halfway, right? You'll stop quitting halfway. You have a definiteness of purpose. You have a desire to achieve that purpose, and you have persistence, right? You have the persistence to actually go out and achieve that goal. So one example that he gives in this book, and this is one of my favorite examples, right? It's called 3 Feet from Gold. And it's a great example about persistence, right? It's a great example about persistence, desire, and definiteness of purpose. So there was a guy, he was a relative of R.U. Darby, and he was alive during the gold rush. So when he heard that there was a lot of gold out west, he said, you know what? I'm going to go out west. I'm going to get that gold. So he called up his family and friends. He borrowed money to get some equipment. He had his definiteness of purpose, right? He wanted to be rich off of the gold, off of the gold rush. He also had the desire. He was obsessed with this, which is why he started telling everybody. He started spreading his excitement, and his family and friends were really looking forward to investing in this. So they gave him the money for the equipment and he started digging for the gold. He found gold, right? He found a little bit of gold and he got extremely excited, right? But then when it wasn't as profitable or as much gold as he expected to see, he quit, right? He quit in the middle of his project. Although he had that purpose, although he had that desire to attract a certain amount of money from the gold rush, he stopped in the middle. So he missed the third piece of the puzzle, which was persistence. He gave up. And he decided that he wanted to sell his mining equipment to some man at a junkyard and try to recoup a little bit of the money that he had lost. So he sold the equipment. But the smart thing about the guy in the junkyard was he had all three things needed to first be on the path to riches, right? Of course, he had a desire to be rich. He already had his own business, right? Of course, he had a definite purpose. He said, I'm going to make money off of my business, right? But he didn't know that having his mining equipment and meeting this guy who gave up would actually be the answer to his goal, right? He didn't see failure as failure or defeat like the cousin of RU, the uncle of RU Darby did. He saw it as an opportunity. Just because RU Darby's people had given up, he wasn't going to do that. He was going to persist until he found the goal. So what did he do? He found an expert who was really versed in mining, and then the expert told him about something called fault lines. And he said the mistake that Mr. Darby had made was that he stopped digging 3 feet before the actual goal that he was looking for was, right? So because the junkyard man was persistent, in addition to already having the desire for riches, right, and the definite purpose of wanting to get that, he was actually able to find all of the gold, and he took the fortune that Darby could have had if he would have kept going, right? And this story is called 3 Feet from Gold in the book Think and Grow Rich. And every time I think about quitting or giving up, I always go back to that story because I could be so close to what it is that I want to obtain, but the fact that I quit is really why I lost, right? Most people that will tell you that have done anything successfully or have reached a certain level of success and recognition, I'm pretty sure they had a bunch of hiccups, a bunch of setbacks, but had they stopped in the middle of the goal that they set out for themselves, which was to attain this level of success, attain this level of recognition, attain this level of money, they would have never done it, right? Now, it may seem pretty simple, and it is pretty simple, but sometimes you need to do everything and not partially do things if you want to get the results that you're searching for, right? If I want to make a pot of spaghetti, right, and I have water and I have noodles, right, and I have salt, I can make the spaghetti, right? I need a pot, I need water, I need noodles, and I need salt. Those are four simple things that by themselves wouldn't make the spaghetti, but once I put it together, the spaghetti is made. Now think about this. What if I didn't have a pot, right? But I still had the pasta and the water. Would I be able to make it? It's simple, but would I be able to make it, right? What if I had the pot, but I didn't have the pasta, right? I just had the water. Would I be able to make it, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that although these things may seem like separate small things that you have to do, the only way to really get the desired result that you want is to put them all together. You have to know what it is that you want, right? And this isn't something that you have to share with everybody because another thing that he talks about in his book when we get to the later chapters are the 6 fears that stop most people from going after what they want. And one of them is the fear of criticism, right? Don't be afraid just because you want to make a certain amount of money and the people that are around you, they don't see or share your vision. That's perfectly fine. It's your vision. It's not for them to see or understand. They may still be living in the physical world, but you have elevated to a higher plane and you understand that you need to take advantage of the frequency of thought if you really ever want to get to where it is that you want to be, right? So I really encourage you guys to firstly decide exactly how much money it is that you want to make by a certain date and what exactly do you plan to obtain that money. For example, one of my personal goals is I want to make $100,000, right, by December 31st, 2023, right? And I want to obtain this money by trading prop firm capital, right? So that's a very specific goal with a very specific amount of money and a very specific date. And the only way that I'm not going to do that is if I stop halfway, right? But that's not my plan. My plan is to think and grow rich and to share the knowledge within this book with you guys. I highly encourage you to read the book, right? You can find it on Amazon. You can listen to the audiobook on YouTube, or you can listen to this podcast and keep up with me for the next couple of weeks. And we really are going to see what type of things we're able to achieve in our life once we start to apply these 13 principles. So I really hope that this video was helpful. If you really found it insightful, you found it hopeful, and you learned something, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know. But that's all I have for you today. Until next time, rich friends.